Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, Doc and Prof discuss hashtag Jacksonville Strong from this past weekend's horrific events, NFL offseason moves, including some players receiving that mean green, and the NBA officially says goodbye to a dynasty as Manu calls it a career, and more, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to another fine edition of Debate Amongst Friends. Live on YouTube, you heard us right. This is the 5th edition of the sports podcast of season 3. I am the host with the most, the Professor John Gotti, and I am the advocate in the winner's corner of the reigning, defending, undisputed podcast beast. The birthday boy, Doc Lesnar.
How fitting that I would receive a Brock Lesnar pop doll.
Funko
which, Pop. I mean, I'm going to call it a pop doll. I mean, what did you just say it was?
Funko Pop.
Funko Pop. That's what they call them? I don't see that in here.
That's the name of the company. That's the name of the company.
There it is.
There you go.
The entire line of Funko Pop. Wow. This is, and I was just telling my wife, I was like, why do these places have to make these dolls with these ginormous heads, little bodies? Like, why do they do this? But I mean, I this tickled me a little bit.
Just a smidge.
Only thing they couldn't do, of course, because they would have to pay a little bit more money, is that they couldn't put the Jimmy John's logo on the pants. That's the only thing they can't do. But other than that, that is so great. But we have another show. I am so ready. I hate that we have to start on such a somber note.
I mean, it was quite somber. It shook so many different realities by storm. And I don't mean B-Dorm or Jack, by the way.
Absolutely not.
But the Jacksonville landing shooting was something that took place during the weekend, and it shook not just the internet, but so many different communities, from the athletic community, the NFL, the NBA, many people with, such high regards within those communities, players and coaches and, significant figures of those communities had a lot to say about what happened, as well as the esports community.
Right. Because
this primarily affected them, because this was during a Madden tournament at a bar.
Right. And, we talked about this with Miguel Ross, a couple years ago at Evo, and I asked him, I said, why isn't there anything like this for sporting games, esports? And he said, is there a community for it? That was the exact question. Is there a community for it? And, my brother Shadow and I have been discussing such or said community for the last couple of months, and we were getting ready to launch some things, but with something like this happening, that kind of puts a damper on potentially some of our plans. Because it's like, now you have to think about whether or not somebody can mentally handle getting beat. And I've discussed it with you, I've discussed it with him, some other people. This new Madden is somewhat TAS, wait, trash, because of its new makeup. Like it's just a different game altogether. You have to be, Madden's about having fun. We're not, looking to time things and make sure you hit buttons at the right moment. And, you know, you're trying to just go out there and play Smash Mouth football. It's almost like the real game.
Yeah.
In the game, you almost have to hit somebody at the exact right spot and the exact right time to make the tackle, where before it was just like, let me just go out here and hit X and make this tackle. Now it's like, I can't even hit X anymore because if I hit X at the wrong time, he's going to jump to the left and I wanted him to go right.
Yeah.
So I could see a game of this magnitude force some people to lose their cool, but not lose their cool to the point where they're shooting people. That, sir, is ridiculous.
That's where I have to disagree. So any competitive game, regardless of the genre, is going to induce not just rage, but salt.
But think about it like this. Think about how many people you've beaten over the years. I know you've beaten a whole bunch of people. We know that you're the Professor John Gotti, the King of RNG, the Troll Master, the Data Analyzer Ninja, the conqueror of so many hearts and souls of gamers. And you mean tell me you might have seen a broken controller or two, but you never felt like your life was on the line just because you spanked somebody in a game that, you know, I mean, come on.
I mean, I personally haven't. You know, I've seen a lot of people break controllers. You know, I've seen people, you know, take a swing at someone.
Absolutely.
You know, especially the, oh, well, you beat me in, you know, basketball, but you can't beat me in real life kind of thing. Like,
absolutely. Those statements.
But to see it in such an extent, like, and I understand where you're trying to go with this one. I do. But I still feel like, and there's been reports now saying like he legally obtained the firearm in the state. So like part of me feels like it wasn't the fact that he got salty about it. It's the fact that he probably most likely definitely had a plan walking into this tournament.
So it was like lose or go home.
I feel like, and
winner
granted
home,
this,
I guess
I get what you're saying there. But I mean, David Katz, that's the gunman's name, who's originally from Baltimore, Maryland, which is, hey, I'm just glad they didn't automatically assume this wasn't a black guy.
Right, absolutely, because that happens
that happens very fast, especially with Madden. I don't know why.
I'll be honest with you. And I could be wrong, but I think I've never really seen. I mean, like I said, like I think the things that you mentioned before about breaking a controller, swinging on somebody, you can't beat me in real life. You know, this is just a game. I feel like those are more of the statements that we would make. But of course, I can't say that, you know, without, you know, any proven data. But carry on.
But I feel like David Katz walked into this situation knowing he wasn't going to win.
That's crazy.
Knowing he was not going to win. And the funniest part is he was the Madden champion for 2017.
Completely different game.
Exactly.
Completely different game.
So I'm looking at it as, you know, if he left, you know, did whatever he had to do, and then come back, you know what? I can understand that. He let the salt just flow the entire time. He didn't give himself a chance to calm down a little bit. You know, I can understand to certain extents, like 3% of that extent.
Sure.
But he walked into it gun loaded.
That's crazy. So crazy. I mean, come on. Do you mean to tell me you're the champ? Think about it like this. You are the champ. Like, you're the champ. You were the Brock Lesnar of Madden of 27. Oh, you said 2017, or I guess 2018. 2017. So you were the champ. Like, there was nobody that could touch you. You ran all those glitch plays that just so happened to work. I know you said they run the ball a lot in Madden, but in this particular year, if you were great at running the ball last year, this year, You're terrible.
Well, this current Madden version, they do more passes now.
They have to, because they changed the running. The
Yes.
running in this new Madden is terrible. And I've had conversations about it, you know, like and I think even in one of the videos that we watched together, well, no, I think it was a spinoff of that video. There was a guy who said, literally, you cannot hit the acceleration button until you get to the line of scrimmage, he said, or the AI will automatically break all their blocks.
Yep.
And come and tackle you. So therefore, whatever you did last year, because I tell you right now, when I played the game last year, I could run the spread inside zone all day from rookie to all Madden. Didn't matter who I played against. You could run the zone, or you can run a stretch, or whatever the case is, all day. Now, it's this weird thing where you might bust off 8 yards here, you might bust off 10 yards.
Yeah.
And the guy even said, you have better success at running a play to the short side of the field than the wide side of the field. So I know they screwed this game up. Because in real life, you would try to do it, of course, the wide side of the field. But for him, if you're saying that he went in,
well, so they also said that he obtained the firearm from a licensed dealer in Baltimore, which means he drove down to the event legally.
Mm-hmm.
So he walked into it knowing what's going to happen. I mean, that's my take from it. Like, come on.
Let's try a different narrative.
Okay.
He's the champ, right? He's the champ.
Mm-hmm. In fact, the Baltimore Bills, who I believe that was the team he was running last year, put up a Twitter congratulating him for last year's championship. Do you realize how many people dug that up? Like, first of all, I found it because people dug it up. Do you realize how much shade has been tossed? Do you realize how much the internet is undefeated, ladies and gentlemen?
The internet is undefeated. I mean, they've taken many lives, and I mean, unfortunately, in this situation, he didn't even allow the internet to even get a crack at it.
Nope.
He said, "Forget this. I'm going out." Unfortunately, guns blazing. But
what's your different avenue approach to this one?
I don't know. So, and this is where it gets weird, because in Florida, we've seen a few different things happen. You know, you think about, you had the Orlando shooting. You know,
mm-hmm.
when we were going out to the Bucks game last year, there was a serial killer on the loose.
Yep.
And now you talk about in Jacksonville, there's this shooting. You know, he's from Baltimore. It was still
he's
Florida,
from Baltimore. Yep.
What about the narrative that you're going to a different state? You don't really know anybody. You're the champ. And maybe you just bring the gun for protection just in case you bust somebody up and they start talking out of pocket. That's the only thing I can give him.
Wait, so they talk out of pocket, so you shoot them bang, bang?
No, they talk out of pocket, and, you know, maybe they have something on them.
So what? It turns into like Arizona, where everyone just draws their gun at each other. Like, I'm trying to get what you're trying to get with that part.
That's what it could be. I mean, listen. Some people are. I mean, I'll give some credit. Some people are so paranoid that they feel like people are trying to kill them. I don't want to give them the mental health pass.
Well, and we're going to talk about that right after this. We're going to talk about that right after this, because I know you had a lot to say about that.
Yes, I can understand him bringing the gun with him in the event that something crazy happened. But I can't sit there and say he brought the gun with the intent to win or go home. And we're gonna just use that because it makes the most sense. I just can't buy that. Like, I think you're the champ.
You're the champ.
Like, the absolute champ. Like, you're the guy. And you're talking about, there's no way he thought he was going in there losing. I'm just having a hard time buying that part. He had high hopes for his career. I don't know
I mean, either that or he's the biggest sore loser in the world. Like, either way, it doesn't paint a pretty picture.
He's gonna go down as the biggest sore loser in history.
Like, either way, he's just the biggest sore loser in history.
Yeah, it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down that way, and it is sad because you go from the champ. Like, all you have to do,
the champ.
You lost. Hey, this is a new game. The game just came out. I mean,
game just came out. Well, no, they're still playing the previous version. They're not playing the newest version yet.
Oh, that makes it even worse.
Because
that makes it worse.
Let's see if they are playing. See, and they didn't necessarily mention what Madden game was being played, so
they had to have been playing the new one because
they
were playing the old one.
You know what? Something tell me it was probably the new one. Something tell me it was probably
the new one.
It has to be the new one.
Has to be, because if they were playing the old one and he lost, he probably been like, I've been playing the new one, so whatever. No, it was the new one. We connected Madden 19. Yeah, it was Madden 19. So it was the new one. Perfect. And this is from a new story in Jacksonville. So it was the new one.
Yep.
So listen, it's a brand new game. You're the champ. You can't even say this is a dethroning because everybody just started and this game is trash. I'm not going out here shooting people over this game. I'm not even trying to buy it. I'm literally taking my trial as slow as possible because the game is not worth the 10 hours that I get.
Think about it like this. I'm wearing the shirt for the last Evo champ for Street Fighter 4. The very next year, Debate Amongst Friends attended their first Evo. And who won that one? It was that person who the doc calls a pissant because he played the most boring character in the game, in his opinion. Infiltration.
Well, Street Fighter is a great example because every year, and you correct me if I'm wrong, they change the character, I guess, levels.
They change the mechanics, the playability. They do a bunch of different things such as nerfs and buffs to adjust things to make things a little bit more balanced. I see what you're saying. But we're talking about going from one game to a totally different game. Completely new game mechanics.
So the mechanics are not 100% different. So all the buttons are exactly the same. They just put in those buffs and those adjustments to make the game a little different. All the buttons are the same.
All the buttons are almost the same, but they added new things to it. So Street Fighter 4, they got rid of the focus attacks, and they replaced that with V skills and V triggers.
So let's go with Street Fighter 5. The last 2 years, they would have done the same thing. They would have changed some people, some characters, tweaked them a little bit. Those are the balancing.
Those are the balancing.
So I feel like Madden did something
as well as fixed Chun-Li's face, but that.
Oh God.
That was.
I feel like Madden added the coach. So that's what they did. They added the coach. I feel like Madden took some of that element. They didn't change the game. They just did a little tweak to the run game, tweak to the pass game, tweak to the defense, tweak to how the players look and feel. People kept saying that it's the same game. So they say, you know what, we're going to change it a little bit. We're going to show them.
Yes.
You can do everything that you did in 18 and carried over to 19. But I couldn't do the same thing I did in 17 and carried it over to 18.
Yeah.
We've been playing Madden. I've been playing Madden since 96. And in 96, there really wasn't a spin button. I used to take the D-pad and I used to do one of these little things with my thumb, like really quickly. You know what I mean? Up, left, down.
That's
up, down, left, up, right. You know what I mean? Like it was like that with a D-pad.
It's the full circle. Nintendo. It's fighting FGC, full circle. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It was sweet too. One of the best spin moves I've ever been able to do. But Now it's like they got all these fancy buttons and combinations. You got to hit this trick, you got to hit right trigger and the analog, and you got to make sure you got to hit the stiff arm when they're close to you, and where before you used to be able to leave that stiff arm out there all the way down the field and just leave it there. You know what I mean? So it's come a long way.
Yes.
But never have I ever seen anybody get so mad or be so paranoid that they brought a gun to the place and then lost. And now the narrative is he lost, he has mental issues, and he killed people.
Okay, so now that you mentioned that, let's talk about that mental issue part, because that was literally about 12 hours after the story first started. And initially, a lot of the news outlets were saying he has no mental disorder.
Right.
And now suddenly they're talking about, he has mental disorder from when he was 12. However, his doctor said this is where it gets funny, because like everyone wants to try to sympathize, and I believe the family also put out a GoFundMe for him as well too. Yeah, I'm not going to go there as well. I'm not going to go there.
You don't even need to go there.
But his lawyer was saying, his psychologist was saying that Katz was not likely to harm other people, but he was actually a much bigger threat to his mother than to other people, because he's been abused by his mother.
See, that's just crazy to me. That's crazy.
So
that's crazy.
Riddle me that, Batman.
So that's a terrible statement, first and foremost, because a lady who's trying to get to know a man would judge him based on how he treats his mother.
Yep.
So if that's the case, then girl, he's gonna kill you. You know what I mean? Like, literally, he's gonna do some harm to you. Like, that's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
This is the lady that gave. Well, first of all, let's think about this. This is the lady that gave birth to you. He said he wouldn't hurt anybody else, but he's gonna hurt the person that brought him into the world. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Secondly, I don't believe he had any. Let me take that back. I hate this, because this is going to paint a bad picture now on video games as a whole. Because you think about it how it was before. It was rap music.
Yep. And
then it was violent video games.
GTA.
Remember we were saying, I think there was that ESPN thing, 30 for 30 or whatever. I'm addicted to video games. Ruin people's lives and all this other stuff. Yeah,
talk about the little kid who spent up like $12,000 because CS:GO. Yeah. I remember
that. I think it was a few stories, and I think it was another guy who he lost his wrestling scholarship or something because he was addicted to games or something like that. It was some sport he was playing. But my thing is, and me and my cousin talked about this as well off the stream. It was just like, some people, this is all they do.
Yes.
Like, they don't have any other jobs. Or if they do have a job, it's just something that they just go to, but they're just like waiting to get back home to play the game. So to me, he looks like one of those guys. He looks like one of those guys. He might not have a girlfriend or anything like that. He just sits at home and plays Madden all day. I could never play 400, 500 to 1,000 games like some of these guys do, and have a full-time job, a wife, friends, social life, actually have good hygiene.
Yep.
Like, I would never be able to balance all these things. It was just impossible. I mean, you mentioned 9 hours of streaming, and you saw how I reacted. So I mean, come on. So I mean, you're talking about guys who play this,
But that draws that parallel when it comes to people who want to make this their lives versus people who want to enjoy video games as a casual activity. So whereas for, normal Joes like ourselves, like, we're not going to put 20-something hours a week on a video game. It's just something that we can't see ourselves doing. I mean, heck, Heck, I'm playing Infinite Warfare with the Duke right now. We play an hour and a half, maybe every other night.
And that's kind of what you can do.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel you. You know, I haven't played any games in the last 2 or 3 days, and it's like, you know, I felt like the last 2 days I couldn't, you know, because we're just adults. And I don't know. I mean, he wasn't a super young guy.
24 years old.
Yeah, I mean, so he had to have done something. But let's look at it this way: he brought a gun to the event, which means he had some intent. It could have been protection. It could have been, as you mentioned, hey, if this doesn't go my way, win or go home.
Bang, shoot him up.
I'm sticking to it. Win or go home. You know, and they're going to remember my name one way or the other.
That's a shame.
And
the worst part is, like, here's the part that's worse. Like, it's not like it was a major event.
It wasn't. It was just at a bar.
It was at a bar. Like, for those that understand, like, there's local events, and then there's the big events. Like, this is a local event.
There's no ESPN. There's no EA Sports. You know, there's nobody there. Like, there's no commercials for this.
Exactly.
You know?
But I'm glad that you mentioned that, though. So, the aftermath of all this drew a lot of concerns, especially within the FGC community, because that's the community that I follow.
Of course.
And one thing that the location that took place for the Madden tournament was there was no security. And it was something that's always been a concern within the FGC is, you know, how protected are the attendees as well as the players, you know, are, because anything can happen.
It's true.
So many people who are in charge of the major events, Alice Chevelli and Joey, Mr. Wizard. So Alice Chevelli is the person in charge of CEO, and Mr. Wizard is in charge of Evo. And they both brought out statements to discuss how they're going to increase the security to allow back, you know, to bring in bad checks into things, like to really try to reaffirm that, you know, we're really trying to, you know, hunker down on making sure that the attendees are safe. Now, it got both positive reactions and negative reactions from FGC personalities, where on one hand, they're like, you know what, that's great. We're so glad that you're being cognizant on what's happening here and are looking forward to the future to make sure that we're feeling safe. And, you know, we can hopefully prevent this kind of event from happening in the future. GG. But on the other hand, they're like, oh, well, I feel bad because now these tournament organizers now have to spend more of their own money to hire extra security because someone decides to act like an idiot.
Right. And that's where it gets kind of rough.
Exactly.
Like, it does. You know, and that's the part. That does make it kind of terrible because it wasn't in the FGC and they might feel as though nobody would ever do that, you know, but I don't think, again,
well, it's not the fact. It's not even the fact that it's just the FGC, but like we're looking at esports as a whole. Like CEO Go and you know, League of Legends, a lot of those stuff. Like they're huge right now. Like they're esports. You know, FGC, they're you know, they got their 2 feet in the kiddie pool for esports right now. Like they're really growing, and you know, now they have to uphold certain images. Madden, on the other hand, they don't have that type of image. The only time that you really see Madden, as far as their communities really get conveyed out there, is when NFL is showing it on NFL Network.
That's so crazy.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. And then, you know, like I said, there are several people, this is all they do, you know, they get paid, you know, but my thing is you're at an event and maybe something must have happened. That's one thing I can think of. Like, it had to have been something really ridiculous. I hope it wasn't just, hey, I lost. Let me just, you know.
Well, the problem now is, you know, as soon as they toss that mental illness card out there, like it starts skewing, you know, what is the truth, or should I say, what is the truth and what is the truth.
Right.
So that's something that we have to That's something that we just have to wail on.
Right.
And be much more attentive towards our own opinions.
Right.
Because as soon as people say, "Oh, mental illness, man," but I just feel so bad for that kid now. No, like we can't always look at it like that.
Yeah. I just hate the fact that they did that, because then some people start to bring out the race card.
Yes.
Out of nowhere, and that's where it's kind of tricky.
And it basically started once they put that mental illness card out there. Like, and that's why I'm like, you have to be more attentive towards the actual dialogue that's taking place, because no one wants their child to look like a monster.
Right. Right. And hopefully it's one of those things that we get an answer, but that's where it gets kind of tricky, because it's like with him doing what he did, we kind of don't get any answers. He kind of just left it out there, like,
yes.
And that's where it kind of stinks.
It sucks. Like, can't even say it stinks. Like, it absolutely sucks.
Yeah. But hopefully, the investigation, so to speak, gives us something else, because that's just pushing meat, man. Like, really, really bad. Like, I can't even understand why somebody would do that. But let us carry on. I know we've been talking about this for quite some time. I think he's gotten enough of our time. Of course, several people lost their lives, including the gunman, and hopefully their families get the closure that they deserve.
Well, hopefully it don't just become forgotten really fast. Because I feel like, with this case, because it's going to impact so much more, like, getting that true closure is important.
Mm-hmm. It is. And it's going to be hard when you don't really know what prompted this. It's just so stupid.
And that's the biggest issue, is the fact that we don't know what prompted this. We don't know what was the trigger point. Right. We have no idea. And excuse me for the term trigger. Like, I'm not trying to use it in a funny way, like, but we don't know what, flipped that switch. No, we really don't. We don't. And that's the part that stinks, is that we just don't know. It would have been nice to know this type of information, but the fact that he kind of just did it. Yeah, that's where it gets kind of rough. But let us transition over here. I mean, we're talking about Madden. Obviously, we're talking about the NFL. Some people got paid today. They did. Well, not just today, but this weekend. I guess we can start with one of the first people who had been looking to get his deal done. Odell Beckham Jr., 5 years, $95 million. $65 million guaranteed. Yep. Initial thoughts? Any? You think the Giants are going to have any regrets? Yes. Okay. They are going to have regrets. That's rough. Here's the problem. And we put this out there on all of our social media this week. Who are the top 5 receivers in the NFL right now? Not one person had Odell Beckham Jr. at the top of that list. I'm sure. Did Odell Beckham Jr. deserve to get paid? Absolutely. And I can't believe I'm going to agree with that pissant Stephen A. Smith, but he's 100% right about this. Antonio Brown should be the top paid wide receiver in the league. Of course, I agree. The issue is now Odell Beckham Jr. needs to produce on the field to prove that he deserved this money, which means no more antics on the sidelines. No more really creepy, weird Instagram posts. You know,
Right.
and he really needs to commit to his craft and, you know, help his team make it to the playoffs this upcoming season or the next 4 seasons afterwards. But if he's just there just to get paid and then he still does the same things he's doing before and not showing why he's the top paid receiver in the game right now, it's an absolute joke to the New York Football Giants. You know, and they're going to absolutely... And Duchess also said that the creepy posts are the best, actually. But anywho... But like they're gonna regret it, and they're probably gonna end up trying to dump that cash somewhere. Not to mention, now we don't have, well, I'm pretty sure you probably know this, but this has a massive hit on their cap space as well.
It does. It does.
So
they're gonna be
so for me, I'm looking at it as, you know, OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., it's time to put up or shut up. It's time to buckle up your chin strap, go out there, and, you know, prove it.
I agree.
If you feel like you're the top receiver in the world, you know, go out there and do it. Just like my man from Any Given Sunday, Bill Bellamy. I'm the best receiver in the world.
I got the greatest hands.
I got the greatest hands. Show it.
You're absolutely right. I think that if healthy and if Eli can get him the ball and, of course, stay upright, he could be great. I don't see him being as good as some of those other top 5 receivers that were mentioned. But, you know, there are some people out there who feel like Dez is a top 5 receiver. So,
well, not anymore because he's not wearing a star on his helmet.
Hey, he's leading touchdown guy in history or something like that.
I'm just telling you what the facts are. I'm telling you exactly what the facts are.
Oh, I know. I know okay? You are.
They loved him when he was wearing the star, and they don't love him anymore because he's not wearing the star.
I get it.
I'm calling a spade. But this is something that I wanted to ask you because I don't know if you had a chance to read this article. But this article from BucksNation.com had something interesting to say comparing the contracts between Odell Beckham Jr. and your boy Mike Evans.
I didn't get a chance to read it. I did glance over it.
In which they said that Mike Evans' contract is a better deal than Odell Beckham Jr.'s. Just based off of the headline, do you agree with that statement and why?
Of course, Mike Evans' deal is going to be better for the Bucks, of course, because they probably would have had to pay him more money if Beckham would have signed first. They would have definitely had to pay Mike. Because, I mean, honestly, I believe it. And a lot of other people don't. But, I believe Mike Evans is a better receiver than Odell Beckham Jr. I think he has more intangibles that allow him to use his physicality and his size to also score touchdowns and get the ball.
Yes.
But I think they're talking more about, of course, the longevity of the deal, being able to offload the money and not be tied down. I mean, I think they're thinking more about the
both contracts are the same length.
Yeah,
both 5 years. Mike Evans is $82.5 million with $55 million guaranteed.
I think what the way they're saying is that they're saying it's like for Odell, I think his is kind of because he got more guaranteed money. I guess his has a penalty of some sort attached to it if they get rid of him before like 2020, 2021. I'm not thinking that they would do this anyway, but it's basically some of the details they're saying. But ultimately, obviously, the Bucks are going to say that they got a better deal. I mean, they paid less for a top 5 receiver. I'm going to go on, record to continue to say that.
Okay, so for a moment, let's get away from the contract perspective of things, and let's just focus on the body of work on the field.
Again, I think Mike Evans has a tendency to step up and make big catches. The one thing that I didn't like about Mike Evans, and I think he's doing better at it this year, or last year, I should say, going into this year, from what I've seen in the preseason, is that number one, he tended to get down and not to try to avoid getting hit very often.
He doesn't try to finish the plays.
He does not. It's like he really was just like, okay, not really trying to get hit right now. Let me just get this catch and get down.
I see Plexico Burris did that a lot when he was playing with the Giants.
Listen, sometimes you got to do what you have to do, and kind of go with it. But I mean, if we're looking at the numbers, I mean, they're pretty close. Mike Evans has 309 catches for 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, 68 the longest. Odell has 313 receptions, 4,424 yards, 87 long, 38 touchdowns. And he has a few, I guess, pass attempts, in there. I mean, so they're pretty close. I could see why it would be pretty, it's there. Obviously, Mike's average is going to be for his career a little longer. We're talking about 4 straight seasons with 1,000 yards. Odell obviously would have been 4 seasons, but he got hurt. Listen, I think Mike has had a great success. He hasn't always had Jameis. That's another thing. We're talking about 4,500 yards compared to 40, almost 45, and you have a solid starting quarterback, the same quarterback for all 3 or 4 years, and Eli Manning, who's going to be able to at least get you the ball. We both had terrible offensive lines over the last couple of years, so it can't, that rules itself out. But if I had to pick, I would say Mike Evans being able to catch passes from, I don't even remember who we had before Jameis, but being able to catch the ball from them, I would say.
Wasn't it not Rex Grossman?
No, not Rex.
He went to Chicago.
What's that pissant's name?
But you liked him for like a day or two.
No, I didn't. Oh, we had Mike Glennon.
Yes.
But he didn't. Mike Glennon didn't start. Mike Glennon never got a chance to start because he wasn't a Lovie Smith guy. That was a problem. It was what was his name? He went to New York to the Jets. Dang it!
He went to Chicago. Oh no, not Mike Glennon. Not Mike Glennon.
I'm talking about the other pissant. He's a veteran. He played in Chicago before he came to Tampa, and then we let him go, and then he went to the Jets. He started for the Jets last year, I believe. Veteran. I can't think of that pissant's name, but let's see. New York Jets quarterback. What's that pissant's name? Josh McCown. That's
Josh McCown.
Yeah, so Josh McCown played for us, but he was trash.
He was actually really bad.
Like, really, really terrible. Like,
isn't it funny that he could still get a job while being a terrible quarterback, but Colin Kaepernick can't? Oh, just throwing shots right there.
That's a whole nother conversation.
but let's focus on your Bucks for a second, because there's another piece of news that came out with Bleacher Report today, and they gave the odds of who will be the first head coach to get fired this season.
Of course,
and your coach, Dirk Cutter,
of course,
was on top of that list.
Of course,
by a wide margin, in fact.
So of course, I think that's pretty natural, because you think about it. I mean, you got Ron Rivera, you got Sean Payton, and even the guy for Atlanta. I mean, come on, they're all pretty solid. I mean, Cutter's the only one that hasn't been succeeding, really. Let's think about it. That's an easy one. That's a toss-up. I think what's going to make them more successful this year, and people laugh at me, I think the guy at my job who says that I'm the LeBron maniac, the local LeBron maniac.
Oh, boy.
He says that I'm the most optimistic fan he's ever met, because I think that the Bucks are going to do good, and I think that the Rockets are going to do good. And the only team that he agrees with me on is the fact that Duke is going to be good. So
you want to know the list? Do you want to know? Do you, the people, want to know this list? Because I'm going to say the name, and Doc is going to provide his commentary about whether or not this is fair or foul.
Okay.
And we'll do like the first 6.
Okay.
And I'll give you some honorable mentions. So
Sure.
we already talked about number 1, Dirk Cutter.
Which is ridiculous, but okay.
Number 2, Hugh Jackson.
That's fair. They're stacked at talent. Talent-wise, they have a great team. I don't know how their offensive line is, but talent-wise, as far as skill players, they are stacked.
I absolutely agree with that. I feel like this is a make or break year for Hugh Jackson, and if he doesn't do it, then they're gonna basically pull what happened in Tampa Bay and bring in a John Gruden type person.
Agreed.
To essentially get him over the hump. We're just saying it because this happened multiple times in both football and basketball.
This is true.
So, y'all can argue with us all you want, but we got the facts. Number 3,
Absolutely.
Vance Joseph.
I feel like he shouldn't have took this job.
Yeah, I actually felt bad for him actually getting that job. Like going after Peyton and, the things that John Fox did too. Like,
yeah, he shouldn't have took this job, but ultimately he took it. So I think it's kind of fair, depending. Because I mean, they did get him a quarterback to kind of play with, but I don't think he's been playing that great either. So
no, I think he's on a short leash now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So number 4, Adam Gase.
I think that's a stretch. I think that he's going to get a pass because he lost his quarterback last year, and I don't think so.
Number 5, Marvin Lewis.
You don't know. You knew.
Like I saw the gleam in your eyes.
Yeah, he should be number 1 on this list. Anybody, it should definitely be him.
He should be the list. And number 6, Todd Bowles.
If he's unable to increase their wins by an exceptional margin,
and they just traded Teddy Bridgewater,
right? And that's something we're going to discuss. But if they were to not get any better under his system, because I mean, this is what, the second, third year, they were 5-11. They ultimately would have to make the playoffs in order for him to keep his job.
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
they need to at least make the wild card, or even if like there was like the 7th team, so like the first team out, last team out kind of thing.
At least
like
competing,
exactly
in the running.
Like
at least.
Basically, if you miss out on the last wild card spot on week 17, kind of thing.
Yes.
But here's some honorable mentions. Jay Gruden.
I could see him potentially getting fired.
Jason Garrett.
He should have got fired. He should also be the top 5 on the list.
This one was funny. John Gruden, he didn't even freaking coach yet.
I don't think they paid him too much money. He's not going anywhere.
No. They'd be absolute fools, especially with them now going to Vegas soon. No.
I don't even think they can afford to fire him and bring in somebody else.
Exactly.
I don't even think they can do that.
But I figured, let me get that list out of the way because I thought that was interesting. I was like, let me get the doc's opinion because he didn't see this, ladies and gentlemen. This was live.
That's a good list. I'm just not even feeling it.
You're not feeling that number 1 spot.
I think that's way too much hate. Way too much. But
speaking of the Teddy Bridgewater trade, let's talk about that for a minute. Teddy Bridgewater going to the Saints. Is this the right move for the Saints, bringing him in? With Drew Brees heading towards that sunset?
I think that really the winner of this trade is the Jets. I think to sign a guy for basically the bare minimum and turn it to a 3rd round pick, I mean, it's a pretty good win.
I thought they got a 1st round draft pick, but that might have been a different trade.
No, they got a 3rd round pick.
All right.
Yeah, it was just a 3rd round pick. I'm pretty Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for the Jets. I think they won this. You know, I think the Jets also got a, let's see, they got a 6th-round pick too. Yeah, third and
Yes.
6th. And I think that's pretty good. Obviously, they like what they saw in Sam Darnold. Obviously, they have that bum Josh McCown, who's played so much better in New York than he did in Tampa, which I guess, you know, is just something that happens. But the way that Teddy Bridgewater found out about the trade is kind of ridiculous. Also, did you hear that story?
I did. In fact, not only did I hear the story, there was a video showing it as well too. Now that's the part I didn't appreciate. So for those that don't know, Teddy Bridgewater was notified about him getting traded on the team bus. He had to get off the team bus.
That's rough. That is so rough.
And we've seen this in baseball. You know, it's not October yet, but, you know, we're about to hit September, you know, the very at the end of this week. But, like, there's been a lot of moments where MLB players have been traded during the game.
That's crazy.
And I believe one happened, I want to say to the Mets, but I might be wrong as far as the team. I mean, you know, I would love for an October guy to be here to help fact check me, but that goes without saying. But basically, the skipper took him off the field. You know, and like the crowd is applauding him because, you know, they appreciate everything that, you know, he did for the team. But he learned because of what the crowd was saying.
Wow, and it's like, you've been traded.
I don't think they was like that. I mean, and granted, I still kind of feel disappointed by Knickerbockers for that one game when they kept saying trade Carmelo. Like, no, that's not, that wasn't cool at all.
Not cool at all.
Not cool whatsoever. But we are heading towards the finale week of preseason games, which means we are getting towards the final cut.
Yes.
For NFL rosters. Good sir. NFL.com provided the bubble players who...
Wow, not the bubble players.
The bubble players who should and should not be cut. Would you like to know who they chosen?
For who? Like all teams? Or are you looking at Tampa?
This is for just specific players. Just the players.
Okay.
Who has the potential to not get their bubble popped, to most likely get their bubble popped.
Wow.
Those that will be traded as well. So I'm going to start off with those that should be safe, but they probably did enough during the preseason to earn their spot.
Okay.
Number 1, Adrian Peterson.
He just got there. I think they're going to give him a shot.
I feel that way too. Plus, you never know with AP. I mean, he came back from that horrific injury, and I mean, he basically dominated the league.
You know, the one thing I wouldn't want to see, and this is something that could happen, if the Redskins let go of AP and then all of a sudden he goes to like
the Patriots.
New England or another team that usually pops up is like the Steelers or something.
Yes. Ooh, him and Le'Veon.
Right, exactly. That would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous.
And just have AP be a third down back? Oh my God.
It would be ridiculous.
Number 2,
exactly.
Corey Coleman.
I think the Bills need him.
Well, remember, these are the people who should be safe.
Okay, these are safe. Gotcha.
Yes. Braxton Miller. He plays for the Texans.
Yeah, he should be safe.
I feel like he definitely can bring a lot to the table, especially with what's their name, you know, on the other sides.
Yeah, I think he should be fine.
Kevin White.
Chicago. He's still in Chicago?
Yep, still in Chicago.
He's been such a disappointment.
I think they're going to try to give it one more shot. He might end up getting traded during the season, though.
I'm not sure if he's safe. We're going to put him on the bubble.
Robert Griffin III.
I think he's going to be safe. Don't be surprised if they just make a miraculous decision to cut Joe Flacco, which would change a whole lot. That would change a lot.
I think that'll be less money that they would have to spend if they do that at this point now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut Joe Flacco.
Yeah. And the last one is Torrey Smith. Panthers.
He should be fine. He just got there. They need somebody.
Fine. Yeah. Here are the candidates that have a strong possibility of being cut. Paxton Lynch.
For
Broncos.
Denver?
Yep.
I think he's safe. They can't let him go. They don't even know. They can't trust Trevor Siemian, and
no,
they just can't. They just can't.
They just don't know what to do at quarterback.
Yeah, they just can't.
Brock Osweiler.
He's
playing
Miami
for the Dolphins.
Right now?
Yep.
Brock Osweiler. He'll probably stay. That's rough too.
You're being so kind to these people, Doc.
I am. Only because it's like these are two teams with quarterback issues. I mean, obviously, you can't say that the Dolphins' starting quarterback is like 100%. Who knows? Like, he's coming off of a major injury.
Mm-hmm.
This is so rough. And you can't put Brock Osweiler on like, your practice squad.
Yep.
He's too old.
The next one is Brashad Perriman with the Ravens.
I think they like him.
Well, he's fifth on the wide receiver depth chart right now.
He's fifth?
Fifth. In his fourth season. And he doesn't play special teams. Yeah.
Why doesn't he play anything?
Could it be that he might be TAS weight trash?
Let me look really quickly.
All right. I'll keep on going then.
Yeah.
Mike Gillespie with the Patriots running back.
Ooh. That's rough because he's like, I know they like him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, let me stop for a second. Perriman might be safe.
I feel like he's not going to be safe.
He might be only because, I forgot they brought in Crabtree and they got Willie Snead.
Yep.
Dang it, Perriman. He might get cut, I guess. That's so terrible.
Byron Maxwell.
The defensive back?
Yep.
What team is he on?
The Seahawks still.
He's probably safe. They need all the help they can get.
Injury prone Byron Maxwell.
He'll probably stay.
All right. Here's two of them with the Oakland Raiders. Seth Roberts, wide receiver, and linebacker Derek Johnson.
Derek Johnson's gotten old. But the only reason I'm going to say that he's going to stay is because of the head coach and how he kind of enjoys those older linebackers.
Yeah. And what about Mr. Roberts?
Which Roberts is this again?
Seth Roberts.
I only know one Seth, and his last name is Rollins.
Wow. I'm going to keep going because I felt like that was not an answer. Cardell Jones with the LA Chargers.
I'm trying to think if they have another quarterback over there.
Geno Smith.
Ooh. He might get cut.
Oh yeah.
I could see him moving to their practice squad because he's young enough. And I don't think he should have left Ohio State that early anyway.
That's what happens when you leave so early, right?
Yeah, he should have definitely stayed. Played
Matt
with Zeke
Barkley.
for more years. Matt Barkley. Is he with Arizona still?
Nope, he's with the Bengals.
Oh, he's got a shot. Who's the second? Does it show who the second quarterback is?
Jeff Driscoll.
Oh yeah, he's got a shot to stay on. Driscoll? Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
Let's see. And the last one that I'll say is Shane Vereen. He's the running back with the Saints.
He'll probably get a chance to stay on board. Only reason I say that is because I feel like Alvin Kamara might come down to earth a little bit, and I don't know if they'll be as successful. I think Sean Payton tends to run three back sometimes.
I can see Sean Payton making something happen with the running back core that he has. Plus, Shane Vereen is still a pretty good running back too.
He is, unless they trade him. I mean, that seems to be the way. That seems to be the way to go.
So we're gonna go through the trade candidates real quickly. We already know about the Teddy Bridgewater one.
Mm-hmm.
Earl Thomas.
I don't think so.
I think it might be mid-season. It depends on what he wants to try to do, though.
It's kind of weird because all of his friends are kind of gone or leaving or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of weird.
It's the end of the
Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom.
Yeah. Who else you got over there?
Khalil Mack.
Well, I just got a ticker from Bleacher Report that says that the asking price is too high.
Of course. Come on. Think about it. They're trying to get as much possible for this right now.
Well, it doesn't. So from other team perspective, it doesn't seem as though they're motivated to move him. So they're asking for astronomical numbers. Like it's something ridiculous.
But we've seen this in NFL history, though. We've seen this in NFL history. One team is going to be gullible enough to make that trade.
Mm-hmm.
One team.
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know.
But let's talk about the other contract extension. Record-breaking contract extension.
Well, wait, hold on. Before we do that, let's go with this little baby one. Tyler Lockett, speaking of the Seahawks, got a 3-year, $38 million extension. Okay, let's go to record-breaking.
I feel like that was shade towards Mr. Lockett, but I see what you did.
Hey, he got $38 million. That's he can buy as much shade as he wants.
You're gonna need some glasses for all that shade. Get some sunscreen. Aaron Rodgers, the bad man himself, got a 4-year, $134 million extension, where he receives a $57.5 million signing bonus and will earn more than $80 million by March.
That's ridiculous.
Your thoughts on that, sir?
I mean, he is the best quarterback in the game today.
Now,
as far as
Mel P.
Oh boy, not Mel
has
P.
been very vocal on the Debate Amongst Friends group. Follow Debate Amongst Friends group, the facebook.com/group/Debate Amongst Friends. And his claim that Aaron Rodgers has a terrible playoff history, only has one Super Bowl title, and has only one Super Bowl appearance. How is he the best quarterback in the game? He has been going back and forth with many debate nights out there.
people tend to do that, and I think that's kind of
LeBron
unfair because it's like if when we do that, if we were to do that, wouldn't we have the same argument against LeBron?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And people would think that we were haters or whatever. So we can't say, that we're discrediting, Peyton Manning. We're discrediting, even the great Tony Romo.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, there are so many quarterbacks, I mean, we would even discredit the likes of FGC's Punk. I mean, would you agree or would you disagree?
I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that. Like, you're still picking on the kid. He's only 18 years old.
Hey, come on now. I've called him the Peyton Manning many times.
Yes, you have.
But, it's one of those situations where I feel like, playoff record is kind of overrated.
Obsolete.
Yeah, it's like, what can you do? Like, how do you help your team? Your arm strength, your accuracy, some of the big plays that you've been able to do.
I also feel like a certain wife of a certain TB12 said, my husband can't throw the football and catch it himself as well.
Right, and she's absolutely right. She's
so wouldn't that argument still help defend Aaron Rodgers?
Yes and no. I would say yes because Aaron Rodgers can he'll throw it to anybody it doesn't matter who it is. And that's the one thing that that kind of takes away from the argument, like, because they both, I mean, Jordy Nelson was no slouch. You know what I mean? Like, some of these guys they're not, Green Bay definitely has some high quality receivers and he pulls out a lot of talent from those receivers, but the receivers in New England are not, they wouldn't be number ones on other teams. They would be the number two, the slots or whatever. And he pulls a lot out of them. So to me, it's like, if you want to talk about separating them, it's yards, it's, touchdowns, it's the ability to create and escape. It's, doing things out of the norm. Honestly, and I've said this, and I think we had a show, and I want to say it was season 1. I don't think it was season 2.
It was season 1. I believe it was season 1, actually.
Yeah, where we said, who would we build a franchise around? Mel P that day was very adamant that he would build around Tom Brady. And we were all like, I don't think so. That Rodgers guy is a bad man. And the reason why we chose Aaron Rodgers, because, you think about it, I think Aaron Rodgers can go to any team in the National Football League and succeed. I think if Tom Brady doesn't start in New England under the tutelage of
Bill Belichick,
not only Belichick, but the offensive coordinators that they had there.
Josh McDaniels.
You got McDaniels, you had Charlie Weiss, all these guys. If he's not there and learning from those guys specifically, I don't think he's this GOAT that everybody thinks he is.
Nope. Aaron Rodgers came into the league destined for greatness. His stocks just fell. That landed him into Green Bay.
Absolutely.
But and that's the part that people don't understand.
Because him sitting in that room, that draft room, he was boiling.
Like, he sat there, he's like, oh, I'm about to write cases on all these dishes.
All of them. And he never forgot that.
He never forgot it. He had that chip on the shoulder that we always commend with certain athletes coming out of college. I speak on highly how Baker Mayfield has that chip on his shoulder because he always had to walk on.
He did.
He doesn't know whether or not he's going to keep that job or he's going to lose it. You're
right. You're absolutely right. And he's done a great job proving so far that he's able to compete.
I'm so glad that NFL proved my point as far as him being number 1 overall for the draft.
I agree. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was expecting him to go maybe 4 or 5, but I mean, it's rough because so many people needed quarterbacks, and that's the quarterback that you wanted.
Yep.
So I mean, we're gonna see how it turns out. I mean, I don't know.
I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen next. Stay tuned,
Absolutely.
ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned.
Absolutely, it's gonna be pretty good. I can't wait. Can't wait. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers deserves that money. I mean, despite the playoff quote unquote records and all that other stuff, I mean, he's can we just say he's top 5 quarterback in the league and potentially of all time. He's got an impeccable arm, great accuracy, doesn't really get hurt too often, and I think he really does his thing. I'm sure that this will work out for them, and I mean, the rest is history. I mean, if Odell's getting the most money as a receiver, you can't say that this guy doesn't deserve the most money as a quarterback, being top 5 and all.
They're alive. And that's just off one LP.
Exactly, one LP. Exactly. But let's stop talking about $100 million. It's depressing.
We need to talk to Scott about upping our pay.
Yeah, I mean, because we have to go to something.
I mean, either that or we just need to get these sponsors.
This is true.
The madam has been doing such a great job providing me with some great beverages to drink for this show.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, can we get a round of applause for the Duchess? Like, come on. Like, she's just amazing. Come on. Oh my gosh. Hercules. But today's sponsor is Henry Weinhard's Black Cherry Cream Soda.
Nice.
This right here, I literally tried this morning, actually. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So within every single week, these main name brand sodas are losing their credibility with sodas like these. Guys, you need to step up your game. And Mr. Weinhard, Scott is waiting for your check.
There you go.
Wait, what was that? What was the doc drinking? The birthday beast of podcasting.
So 2 things. I mean, obviously I mentioned, Funko Pop, this little Brock Lesnar that the professor got me for my birthday is fantastic. But I mean, I've stuck and held true to this beer here, and I've actually reached out to 2 Hats, and I think it's time for them to stop playing and cut the check. This is really a light beer. I mean, it's only 4.2% alcohol, but it's like so perfect for, a little barbecue, if you just want to chill. Like, it's such a perfect little beer. And the interesting fact about this can is that there are 2 ladies on this can. The details of this is pretty interesting. Don't get the pineapple one because the pineapple one's trash. You
probably shouldn't have said that. I don't think they're going to send us a check now.
Hey, until they send me a check, I'm going to say the pineapple's trash. They should trash it, honestly. It's really not bad. It's really not good at all. But the 2 Hats here, there's a lady up here drinking a beer, then there's a lady down here drinking a beer. It's kind of like a queen, like a playing card kind of thing they have here. And this one has on a crown. This one has on glasses. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like... You
probably also need to show the people the actual can, too. You kind of had your hand.
It's kind of rough to see it.
But you know, bring it slightly back, slightly. There it is. That's perfect.
So you see, like right here, there's a lady with glasses on. She had a little headband, and up here there's like a queen. So it's kind of like you can have this beer if you're the queen or you're just lounging kind of thing, I guess.
Got it.
I guess that's what they were going for. But yeah, it's a refreshing little crisp light beer. You should be able to find that for cheap at your local grocery store. Still looking for those Kroger's, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And Mr. Weinhard's soda is brought to you by the nice store named Market Street. And it is only available in the DFW area. So if you are near Market Street, make sure you check them out.
Sweet.
Could it be... Nope, can't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But let's get off the gridiron, because I feel like we've been on the gridiron for a while. But granted, it's because the season's about to begin. Let's talk some basketball. We had a retirement and an end of an era, so to speak. Manu Ginobili called it quits earlier this week. Four-time NBA champion, possibly one of the greatest six-man in NBA history. He left a huge legacy, one of the pioneers, because there's been others, of bringing European basketball style to the North American sports.
I think that he definitely made it okay and comfortable for stars as they start to age to take a step back and go to the bench. I think he was one of the first. And Pop really, you have to believe in a system to take a step back and say, hey, I'm willing to come off the bench to do this. You know what I mean? For the team, I'm able to, I'll do this for you, Greg Popovich. Like, I'll do this. But it's kind of tough to sell that to a player. And that's why it's like when we're looking forward to the likes of, Carmelo and a few other people, it's like, how do you convince the player, like Carmelo, like a Dennis Schroeder, who's been starting since he, for the last couple of years, to go to the bench? It's tough.
I mean, it's just all about, what is your desire? Do you want to help the team to win, or do you want just individual achievement? And I feel like that's something that Pop conveys so well, because so many people go there and they just buy into that system. And you can make the same argument with Steve Kerr in Golden State. Same thing with Mike D'Antoni in Houston. People who should be starters, they buy into the concept, they buy into the philosophy of the team, and it usually turn out amazing for the team.
I'm sure teams like the Nets and, teams like Atlanta and some of these teams, they would love to have an Eric Gordon on their team. The Knicks, would the Knicks love Eric Gordon?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a team like that would love Eric Gordon or or Dennis Schroeder. Like, I don't know if the Knicks would want Dennis Schroeder, but like some of these teams, some of these players that can really play but are selfless.
Yep.
I mean, it makes a big deal.
And that's where I was saying, do you care more about the team success or your personal success?
Yeah.
It really just comes right back down to it. But the main question that people kept talking about, because as soon as someone says, I retire, they have a couple of championships. The first thing people say, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Doc, I had the analysts tell me. I had the people tell me. And they're still screaming in my ear. They want to know. According to Doc Ocean, is Manu Ginobili a first ballot Hall of Famer?
No. I think that although he's had a great career, love Manu, I don't think he's first ballot. I would say second or third. I think his body of work is great, but
there's more deserving people to be first ballot?
Yeah, I think if he would have went to the team and they didn't have Tim Duncan, possibly. Like, that's what it comes down to. It's like these guys made up this team. It wasn't just Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is the first ballot Hall of Famer because he kind of did it for a little bit with some role players, and he was already on his way to the top. So you think about like LaMarcus Aldridge, you think about some of those players who kind of did it for a couple of seasons by themselves, and then the team started to draft well. They didn't have to trade and bring in aging veterans to their team to try to win a championship, anything like that. Yeah, they didn't do that. They kind of just, drafted and signed some low-profile guys and just kind of rolled with it.
I mean, the biggest guy that they actually signed was Marcus Aldridge.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just to try and replace a legend, which is
not to sidebar real quick, but like I've been so lucky to have the Madam Duchess. Like, this is a huge slice of cornbread, man, and I love me some cornbread. This is delicious. I may or may not be eating this during the show. I'm just letting you know this right now. But I just wanted to give that shout out to the Duchess because her culinary talent is absolutely amazing.
Wow, I feel you got to do what you got to do. You already know. And I would recommend eating that because there's nothing like warm cornbread.
It's just out the oven too.
There you go. You can't beat but yeah, I don't think he's first ballot. If I was going to say anything, I wouldn't say he's first ballot. Second tops. To me, at least. What do you think, though? You think he's number one? You think he's number one?
I don't think he's number one. He is a Hall of Famer, though.
Of course.
Absolutely a Hall of Famer. Anyone who says he's not a Hall of Famer, I don't know what's wrong with you. And yes, you could throw, how many All-Star games he's been on. Like, no, we're talking body of work. Because if you keep talking about, All-Star games and all this other jazz, I mean, there's plenty of other people who has more All-Star game appearances than him who's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. So stop it. Let's just stop the conversation right now.
Agreed.
No, same thing with scoring titles for the other jazz. Like, body of work, Manu Ginobili is a surefire Hall of Famer, both in the NBA and for the stuff that he's done, on the international circuit as well, too. Because that Olympic victory, gold medal victory that he got over the 2004 U.S. men's team, where he took a bunch of scrubs. He basically did what LeBron James didn't do. Take a bunch of scrubs and win a championship with them. Oh, it's true. It's dang true.
Wow.
I'm going there, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Stephen A. Smith, I'm still calling you out. Prove me wrong. Because that was the same team that had Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, and LeBron James on.
Don't you mention Carmelo. No, I understand what you're saying, though. Listen, and again, I think that's why, it's hard to sit here and say that he's not, like you just wouldn't do that. He's a really, really good player, and he really does deserve that respect. I just don't think he's a number one guy.
So he's not Bob?
No.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Big Shot Bobby?
No.
I thought you was comparing him to Big Shot.
No. Bob from the first Batman movie. Come on, man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Big Shot Bob.
Absolutely not.
Or even little Bobby Jackson.
I love watching Bobby Jackson play.
Yeah, who is also somebody that should have been, considered one of the greatest six men of all time. He was a great basketball player, but I think that I'm going to say second. I have to.
I feel like he's going to be either, like you initially said, second try or third try. I don't think he's going to be beyond that, though.
I don't think so either.
Just because you're taking both what he did, in the U.S. and what he's done playing for the Argentina national team. It's hard for him not to be beyond, a three. He can't be beyond the three when it comes to number of tries.
Absolutely. But I think that ultimately it would be interesting to see what happens with it. I'm hoping that he does get an opportunity, though, to get into the Hall of Fame. Again, 2. That's it. Anything beyond that is highway robbery, unless he's going against some people who are just really, really good. I just can't see it happening. And that's all I got to say about that. That would be ridiculous. I wouldn't know what to even say.
That's fair.
If you didn't. Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
But, sir, it looks like we are at endgame tonight.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we do at the end of every single episode is provide our final thoughts to give you, the people, something to think about during the week. And we're going to start off with the beast of podcasting, the birthday boy himself, Doc Lesnar. What do you got for us?
So I think first thing I want to do is, of course, shout out to the Dookies. I know I spoke about them last week as well, but I'm just looking forward to this basketball season. I think it's going to be such a great season. I cannot wait. But that's neither here nor there. I'm also looking forward to seeing the next episode of Ballers. They actually didn't even play it on Sunday. I don't know what's going on, but if you haven't watched Ballers yet on HBO, that's another show I would love HBO to pick up the Doc and Prof as a sponsor. HBO, we talk about Hard Knocks. I mean, you know, we talk about the Ballers. And not to bring him up again, you know, I know we try to avoid LeBron talk, but HBO is going to have a special with LeBron. I don't know if it started yet. I feel like it should have, but it might be starting either this week or next week. He's actually going to have a barbershop show, you know, which is going to be pretty cool. It's actually going to be kind of like, you know, in the barbershop, him and a few other people, a few other controversial people in a room. And that's what's going to make it interesting because it's going to be different. It's like Snoop, and I think it was who else was in that room? It was like just some controversial people. Like I want to say, what's his name? Jon Stewart's in the room. You know, Jon Stewart's controversial, I guess. He screwed up John Cena, so he's kind of controversial.
I don't know. He probably became the hero that we all deserve, apparently.
This is true. But yeah, I just think that it's going to be a pretty interesting show. And I think the last thing that was pretty interesting that popped up shortly before we started the show, I think I was out and didn't get a chance to really go over it. And I'm hoping that they show it in Hard Knocks if they can. But I know that linebacker Michael Kendricks was charged with insider trading, which is a pretty bad offense.
Very bad offense.
So it's
definitely a federal crime.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how that goes. Of course, we'll probably keep up to date on that. And Kendricks is a really, really good linebacker. As some people know, his brother actually plays for the Eagles, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But that's pretty that's a major offense. Hopefully, the Browns just can't catch a break.
Nope.
Like I said earlier, they have a lot of talent, but
I legitimately feel like that's exactly how the season's going to turn out for them.
I mean, eventually they're going to be, you know, I'm going to have to consider them the punk of the NFL.
I feel like that's too far. So
much talent. They just can't get it done at the end. And that's how the cookie crumbles.
Oh my gosh.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
That's funny. So for my final thoughts, I have a few. The first one was, I don't know if you watched the video of the heavyweight boxer who left the ring after the bell. Oh my
God, yes.
And I have to talk about this one real quick because the initial perception of people just seeing him walk out the ring after the initial bell rings for them to start fighting was, man, he's a punk. Oh, he's scared. Right. Yeah, he's running. But it turns out that there was a huge pay dispute where he wasn't getting paid as much as he felt like he was getting paid. And I had a chance to talk to the Duke about it, and he definitely brought some things to, you know, allow me to think about it even further, where he was like, well, you know, he had the chance to negotiate his pay, and he agreed on that payment. So at this point, like, it's too little, too late.
Right, absolutely.
So, you know, that is seeing what's going to happen in the aftermath of all this is going to be interesting. And maybe they'll talk about it, or maybe it's just one of those flash in the pans, like, oh, this happened and that's about it.
So really quickly on that, just so because I was watching something with, what's his name? Oh my God, just real blank. I can't believe that just happened. the corner from the Seahawks that went to the 49ers. Oh, really?
Richard Sherman.
Richard Sherman. There you go. He actually said something profound earlier on this, I guess, NFL Network and NFL.com. They have this little documentary series, I guess, where he said something interesting where he said that if you're hiring somebody else, like an agent, to represent you, and it's funny because I was just reading Dave Ramsey's book, and he talks about hiring other people to manage your money, which, you know, you shouldn't do. You should just learn how to do it yourself. So if he made this deal and then he walks out on it, I mean, they should be able to not only, I mean, he shouldn't get paid. Hopefully he doesn't get paid, but he probably will because he did stay in for that 1 second.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's smart of him, but I mean, I hope other boxers don't do that because that's going to be kind of whack.
I mean, soon they're going to monopolize the sport. It's going to turn into a thing.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are going to say, why not me?
This is true.
Why not me?
Yeah. This is true.
But
carry on. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. Also, I want to send a big shout out because New York has a champion.
Oh.
In 2K.
Oh.
Knicks Gaming is the esports team for the NBA 2K Gaming League. And you heard me talk about it at the beginning of their season.
Right.
And the Knicks team defeated the Miami Heat team and 2-0 in the series. Both of them were actually pretty close games, in fact, but want to send a big shout outs to them for it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, the internet being the savage that they are, they say, well, that's the only championship you're ever going to see for the Knicks in, you know, the next 50 years.
That's terrible. They might do well this year. They have people haters. There's so much haters out there.
I just feel like they just get way too much hate.
Way too much.
But another thing I wanted to talk about, and I figured it probably won't necessarily be a subject itself, but it's just something that I noticed. But there was a YouTube star named Skillet, who I believe is a CS:GO player, who died, I believe, on the 25th, crashing his McLaren 650S sports car. Down wrong way down a crowded San Diego highway. He also killed his 43-year-old mother and her 12-year-old daughter.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, you know, that's literally on top of the Jacksonville stuff too. While driving his car at 100 miles per hour. Like, come on.
Oh my God. That sounds like you're just showing off at that point. I mean, you know, carry on.
I mean, we don't know all that's happening. Of course, they're trying to investigate to see whether or not he was doing it or not, but like, it just shows how crazy the world is. And my last final thought, I want to give a shout out to my cousin, who has now became a head coach for a college team.
Sweet.
It actually dropped on Facebook today. Of course, you know who I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
I don't think the people know who I'm talking about, but
I don't know if you can.
for the sake, well, actually, I can now because he's a head coach. He's a head coach, so like there are going to be articles about him.
Maybe we could just say the school, and then we leave it up to them to go out there and find him.
Okay, the Ryujin Valley Community College. The Lions.
Yeah.
Yep. Out in New Jersey.
And let me tell you, that is, I mean, I know it's a community college, but that's actually a really, really good school.
It is.
That's a really, really good school.
But Coach Brooks has been coaching for over 10 years. He was the head coach at the Marist High School in Bayonne, New Jersey for 4 years. Yeah. Averaging a really impressive 16 win a year and developing all county players in the interim as well.
Very smart guy too.
Applying his defensive psychology and high efforts. He exemplifies his coaching values and bringing maximum effort for the entire game. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that. If I get a chance to go to New Jersey and he has a game, I am definitely going to watch. But if you're out there in the New Jersey area, check it out. Like I said before, it's the Raritan Valley Community College.
It's rare. Yeah, Raritan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird. Yeah,
I know it's a weird name, but it's out there in New Jersey. Check it out. I'm excited for him. Congrats again, Cuzzo.
Absolutely.
But we are,
and that's cool. That is cool. I was gonna say that's cool because he's one of many Marist former players who've become coaches. And that's why it's pretty good. So Marist is starting to really pick up because I know Bashir Mason is a coach at Wagner. He was a great player for Marist as well. So it seems like Marist is starting to not only kick out basketball players, but also coaching. So that's good.
And it doesn't really help out that St. Anthony's is no more.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's cool though. Definitely congratulations to him.
And I figured let me end on a high note instead of a sour note like I usually do.
Oh no, that's perfect. I'm glad you did this. I'm glad you did this.
But ladies and gentlemen, we are now at Endgame. Tonight's track is from another birthday boy. Marcus D. From his Ryujin no Yume album released in 2018. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you also support all of our artists that we play for the show. Tonight's track is called Midnight Walk. We put the links to all of his social media, plus where you can listen to it on YouTube right here in this video. Make sure you check it out. Also, big shout outs to Croup Dog for still providing us with the most electrifying intro music in all of podcasting.
It's hilarious.
But be sure to catch us every single Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube. You can also listen to us offline on Google Podcast, iTunes, TuneIn, Player FM, SoundCloud, and any and all podcast application on your Android and iPhone devices. That was good, wasn't it? That was good.
That was great. That was really good. That boy good.
That boy good. He going somewhere. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I am the Professor John Gotti.
And this is the podcast beast, Doc Lesnar.
And we'll catch you again next time. Good night. Mwah. And goodbye. Bang. Peace and love.